Okay, so we are uploading this one really late today. And that's because I realized something. I'm seeking perfection over progress here lately, but I just found out that as long as I do some sort of progress or make some sort of movement towards being better, I automatically feel way better about anything that I do. So by making a small progressive step towards getting this done today, whether I'm ready or not, and the whole idea of the whole episode is perfect, I feel like that's just progression to being better. So we're going to get started. We've got a couple things to cover today, and progress over perfection is one, but also you have to stick with me on this tangent with this whole idea of a business manager thing that popped into my head while I was out doing a workout this week. Because there's actually there's a much bigger lesson, and I don't know why the business manager thing got fixated. I got fixated on that for some reason. I don't know what sort of ADHD or whatever kicked in for me to get fixated on that one thing, that one phrase. But I get somewhere with it. So it'll probably be a pretty short one today. I've just got a couple of things that I want to cover, and it's not going to be perfect, but it's progress. And just like everything else I've done here this week to kind of figure that out, that's what we're doing. Progress over perfection. Let's get into it.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like.
All right, so I had this really great view behind me in that intro, and I got a good chunk of what I needed done, but then I realized that I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona in late June. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should check my phone, make sure it's not overheating. Because it wasn't really in the sun, but in the sun enough. You know what I mean? We got about 45 seconds of where I started, and it was already done. It had already shut off. So we're going to come inside. We're going to knock this out really quick, much faster, and much more to the point. And we're going to talk a lot about progress over perfection, because I was trying to be perfect. Obviously, already tried a couple times. I've had a lesson in that a couple times already this morning and this week, but also going to talk a little bit about, for whatever reason, the phrase or the occupation business manager kept sticking in my head, and I'll tell you where my brain was at and how I got to a much larger point about investing in your hustle, so to speak. So let's try again to get into it. All right, so I'm going to read what I wrote. I had all my thoughts in order, and I was kind of knocking it out, but I'm just going to read off my notes here. So I'm out here, I'm vacationing in Arizona, and the other morning I went on a little walk jog that I like to do. And as I'm pushing through the suffocating feeling of the dry desert heat, which I actually am enjoying, honestly. It hasn't really bothered me that much. But anyway, I notice every single level of Tesla and G-Wagon and Caddy and Lambo and every other luxury vehicle you can think of. You name it, it's around this area where we're staying. Obviously, this is not my house. But I'm seeing all this, and of course, on one hand, it's very inspiring in a sense. And that's kind of the thesis or the think piece that I'm going to get into, and also what I'll get to eventually. But it's more thought-provoking. So the folks that own or lease or drive these cars or live in these neighborhoods that I'm just at the time, mouth-breathing my way through, it's sidewalks and everything else, but they're more concerned with how can we earn now to live this lifestyle on a daily basis while continuously learning to have the ability to manage money. And if they can't manage money well, they find someone with that ability, and to me it always sounds like that's a business manager based off of what you see online, which is not always great to follow on, but of course it's a terrible starting point not to have this much information, but that's how we do our critical thinking, right? That's where this whole thought process was, because I don't actually know the full details of what a business manager does and how important they are and everything like that. I'm going based off of a few videos here and there that I've seen online, but it's a critical thinking point. It's a thought that I had, and it led to something I think that you could benefit from. So back to the folks that invest in these business managers. So they're earning, these people, and then this is a fact, they are earning now for a lifestyle that also pays for a setup for their future. And in that better future, they have earned enough to have their weekly, their monthly expenses taken care of while also investing in that future lifestyle change. So this is working and earning 5, 10, 15 years what they need for the next 5, 10, 15 years after that first bid and all the work that they're doing. Once they find that hustle, they can ease off or focus on other avenues or interests more so than just their daily job. And this is where the business manager comes in at a very interesting time. This is where this thought comes into my head. I'm sitting here thinking about these people. who have these homes and these houses and what they do, and that leads into how are they earning now to live here, but they're probably trying to get to a better place where they can live somewhere outside of here that's even better, or be able to live this current lifestyle with less work because of how much work they've done in the first 5, 10, 15 years for the next 10, 15, 20, or whatever it may be. So all you ever see online, and this is where the business manager comes in, before a celebrity is about to make a terrible financial decision, they say, I better call my business manager first, or my business manager is going to hate this one. So with that constant back and forth between those two and the things that you see online, you tend to wonder, well, is that like the most important thing to be? Is that like one of those occupations that you should really look to get into? And maybe it is, but this is me coming at it from just outside, getting a workout in, not really any major thought, so to speak, into this. Just putting a label on something that I don't necessarily fully understand, but sort of have an idea through things that I've seen and context clues. So the business manager, to me, comes across as the angel on the shoulder, while the celebrity is its own devil on the other side, but they're all resting upon someone with that hustle mentality. And this is where I bring it all back together, and the business manager doesn't necessarily matter so much, but that mentality is earning and putting that celebrity in a position to even have the opportunity to make that purchase. So to be even in that position, we talk about that all the time, to have that perspective and that purpose that you're in a position to be able to do something like that, you should be thankful for that. And I'm sure they are, but they're also hustling and pushing towards the next 5, 10, 15 years to continue to live that way, but maybe have less responsibility down the line. So the business manager's job, to me, seems like, let's argue for a strong financial decision, and in reality, he or she is going to be unsuccessful, probably more often than the latter, but that doesn't really matter. The business manager knows one of two things. Either they have a client who's going to continue to earn in a way where the short-term pain of that spend won't hurt their long term, because the business manager knows this client will continue to make enough in that short term, that 5, 10, 15 years, to make up for the long term effects that purchase may or may not have had. But they never stop. The funny part of this is that the business manager doesn't have a client. If they don't have that client that fits this profile, they'll be hustling on their own short term to set themselves up for a long term prosperity. So everybody's got to hustle, so to speak. The business manager's hustle is making enough off the short-term shooting stars so they can set themselves up on the shoulders of the ones whose long-term gains will provide a flow state between the relationships of the business manager, that effective or hustling or talented client, and the not-so-talented, less effective short-term hustle client, the shooting star, so to speak. But it's all a hustle. It just depends on which point inside the circle that you find yourself in. But these people, the business manager and the celebrity that is actually good at what they do, no matter what, when you do the hard thing today that others will not, tomorrow you can do the easy things that others cannot. So this all was set up around an idea of trying to find your hustle and watching the surroundings that I was in at the time. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about that, and I write those notes out and I start journaling about it. And then this week, 2 times, I had tried to get up early to get my workout in before we do whatever we're going to do through the day. And then I thought, well, I'll get up and I'll either work out and then I'll do the podcast episode, or I'll flip it, whatever. And then I'll be ready for the day. But I kept thinking, well, we got this going on, so maybe I shouldn't do it that morning. I'll do it the next morning. And I ended up worrying more about the perfection of it. Just now, I wasn't going to go do a workout because I got up this morning and I was worried I was going to wake everybody up. So I just passed on it. I thought, well, maybe I'll get it done later. And then the day started to get away from me. But then at this moment, all of a sudden popped up to where everybody decided they wanted to take a nap. And I knew I had at least 45 minutes, probably longer, knowing my family, to get a workout in. I said, why don't I just do it? I know I need to record this podcast, but maybe I won't get it done. Maybe I'll be on vacation this week. No big deal. But I know that it's important for me to get these feelings out and to talk about these things, and that hopefully in turn it finds someone out there that it also helps out. And I think my wife was kind of giving me hints this morning. Why don't you go work out, or go do something, because you're acting like you need to be out of this house and away from everybody and get something done. But I kept worrying about the perfect setup with the backdrop for the podcast. If you see it in the intro, it looks great. And if it wasn't 110 degrees right now, I probably would still be out there recording this thing. But there we go again. I was worried more about the perfect setup and having all my thoughts in order going through my notes, trying to come up with an idea, than just putting progress towards the action. So I put off the workout because it wasn't the perfect conditions, thus limiting my progress. Trying to find perfection feels like paralysis, whereas if I do progress, it's not going to be perfect. And it goes back to the 4 P's: perspective, peace, higher power, and purpose. So progress is now in there. We got 5 P's now. 5 P's of life: progress, purpose, peace, perspective, and higher power. And they all work together. So I was worried more about the perfection, the perfect workout, the perfect time to do it, the perfect setup for the podcast, and I had no progress. And I was feeling the effects of it. I had this bad attitude. I had this terrible look on my face. I wasn't having any fun. I was supposed to be on vacation, hanging out with my kids and my family. And I didn't have the perfect thing happen, the perfect time to get the workout in, the perfect time to record the podcast episode. So I had 0 progress, so I was in paralysis. So that's the thing I got to leave you with today. The realization of finding your hustle, whatever that may be, is actually going to be on the back of progress over perfection. So as long as you're progressing forward, and I feel like if you go back and watch my episode on how to enjoy discipline and how I'm trying to be a person that identifies with the result of the action, the effect of the workout, no matter if it's good or bad, the effect of the workout is I'm getting towards a bigger goal here. So I'm trying to become that person. And that all goes back to progression. Just progress. Just get up, go do it. Whether it looks great, it's terrible, it's only for 20 minutes. And I'm starting to feel the effects of whenever I don't get that done. Because I'm becoming that type of person, when I put it off and don't get it done, I get in a mood. I get in a bad mood. I don't know how to act. I feel like I've got to be doing something. If I'm not doing something of progress to better myself, my situation, or my life for my family, or anything like that, I start to feel the other way. And now there's another underlying issue there that I have to work on, to not necessarily be addicted to these outcomes or addicted to the progress. But in general, I know what I have to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to make some sort of progress towards finding that hustle and staying and enjoying discipline because of the outcomes. Thank you for watching. Sorry it's a late upload this week, but hopefully, like every episode, not only does it help me, but maybe it'll help you. Make sure you go out there. You only have one life to live, so live your best life. Make your own way through this life, because in the end, you only have one thing, and that's your name, and a name is what you make it. Like and subscribe. We'll see you later. 5 P's.